Hey everybody, this is Friendo with a response to Sticky Fingers on his video about black masculinity. He sent me the video, asked for a reply, so his channel and video linked below. I know he'd appreciate some views and comments. Let him know you say hi. Alright, so in general, I agree with you in what you stated in your video. It can be really hard to talk about the issue of black masculinity because it's hard to approach the issue with respect without saying that there's something flawed about black men. It's easy for a lot of people to make it personal and make it degrading rather than trying to improve upon a problem. And the problems are there. We see it with incarceration, we see it with drug addiction, we see it with violence, and it cycles from one generation to the next. When you have a boy who grows up, the majority of his childhood, his father is in jail. What is his role model? What is it that he sees when he looks out there and tries to make sense of himself in the world? What is the example provided to him of what it means to be a black man, to have black masculinity? So, I see what you see. I understand. And in terms of the segue to Trayvon Martin, while I understand the frustration, the outrage in the black community concerning the death of Trayvon Martin and the treatment of the man who killed him, that's a frustration that extends outside of the black community. The fact remains that across the nation there is not an epidemic of white men killing black men. Most young black men who are going to die before their time will be killed by another black man. And that is the real tragedy. That's what affects the entire community. That's what affects generations of black men. That's the cycle that needs to be stopped. And this is largely the result of, I guess that's not really the right way to put it. It's the result of pop culture. Pop culture reinforces this kind of negative stereotype, this pervasively violent concept of masculinity. And I like the way you put it here. I don't know if that was O'Reilly's phrasing. Pornographic violence. That is a reinforcing factor. In order to earn your badge of masculinity, in order to qualify as a black man, you have to be able to hold your own in a fight. You have to be hard. And it is a pervasively destructive idea. There's nothing wrong with being able to hold your own in a fight, being physically fit, being tough. But it's not an ideal. It's no way to live your whole life. It's something you have to have control of, be able to turn on and turn off. The whole point of violence, of a culture of violence, is that you are in control of it. Now, you were in the military, I was in the military. That's a culture of violence. But the violence is within control, within rules of engagement, within laws of armed conflict. It is something that you have to be able to turn on and turn off. It's not, being violent isn't the most important part of being in the military, in the military's culture of violence. It's being able to follow orders, to kill when ordered to kill, and to stand back with your gun at your side when that's what you're ordered to do, to follow the rules of engagement. And that requires control. But what you see with gangsta culture, with hip-hop culture, is the opposite. It is your ability to exert dominance over others. That is what qualifies you as a man, as opposed to your ability to function within the various systems that make up our society. And that's where I would place the definition of masculinity, is having the ability to function with the various systems of our society. That's the point at which you are an adult, where you can claim to be a man, a real man. I mean, yes, it's great if you can hold your own in a fight, if you can defend yourself and others, but it's your ability to participate in society that makes you a functioning adult human being, regardless of gender. So I don't know the extent to which I can say hip hop is cause or contributing factor, because it's just not my culture. I'm more into heavy metal as a way of expressing the violent tendencies, the dark tendencies of getting that out in a musical format. But that's my impression of how it started, how it got started. The rap and hip hop. It was sad. A statement of the violence of the street, the low worth of the life of one black man, that the police don't care, politicians don't care, the system is against you, and you have to live this life to make your money. And it has morphed into a celebration of all of the things that were originally pointed out as being so awful. And so it's created this metastasizing cycle, a cycle that's putting black men into the ground. So in the end, I agree with you. I mean, I don't particularly like describing emotional competence as a feminine trait. The statement that men need to get in touch with their feminine side. But that is a part of what needs to happen. I like the way you put it, that we need to move black masculinity toward the center, toward normal, functioning human behavior. I would put it as, rather than glorifying emotional incompetence, we need to think of black masculinity as something that is emotionally competent. And that's what you're describing at the end of your video. In no way should black men be encouraged to express everything in terms of anger, resentment, holding back, lashing out, thinking of the system, thinking of white people, thinking of anyone who's not from their block, Hispanic, Asian, other blacks, as the enemy. Rather, to think that we have a system that we have to participate in. We have to fully and intelligently participate in order to get dividends back to ourselves, to our communities, to our descendants. And that more positive message is possible. That if we can take the notions of black masculinity and move them away from criminality and move them towards emotional, social, economic competence, then we have something that is a lot more workable and something that will actually definitively improve our communities. And not just black families, where the absence of black men, dead sons, incarcerated husbands and fathers, where those absences are felt acutely, but for society at large, society in general, where we are missing out on ideas, we are missing out on labor and productivity, we are missing out on people being there when they are needed, when there are disasters, when there are periods of national mourning or national reflection. These men, this proportion of our population, these men who are a part of our society are gone. Whatever they would have to contribute is simply not there, and we are all left with that loss.